Greetings, Ben Murray here with another edition of SaaS Metrics School. Welcome. Hope you're doing well. So, what's a good churn rate? So, before we dive in, I would love a rating and review. And if you send me a screenshot to Ben at SaaSCFO.com, I'll feature your company in my next newsletter to 70,000 subscribers. So, love those ratings and reviews. So, diving into today's episode, what's a good churn rate? And it's funny, back in the early days of subscription software, even before SaaS, as we're moving from that on premise model, we talked about churn a lot. And I'd say today it's more retention, but with churn/retention. So, what's a good churn rate? And then this episode addressing logo retention or logo churn, meaning on account basis, whether that's an account, a user, an entity. And I've covered other episodes where that parent-child relationship is so important in your reporting. You've got to get that right from the beginning because it's so hard to unwind that messy data. So what's a good churn rate? Well, again, with these, it depends. And I'm using the best SaaS metrics benchmarks out there from Ray Rike at Benchmarkit.AI. You can go to that website, get your own custom benchmarks. But again, with benchmarks, we have to be so careful because we can't just use those aggregate numbers that you see in a lot of reports, those aggregate metrics where CAC payback should be 9 months, which is absolutely wrong. I like to benchmark SaaS companies based on ACV. Of course, we're limited by the amount of data flowing through these benchmark data sets to make those benchmarks valid and accurate. But with the total population from this latest survey, customer logo retention rate, bottom performers were running at 80%, so 20% churn, median at 90% retention, so 10% churn, and top performers at 95% customer retention, 5% customer churn. Of course, that's the total population. We know based on the price point of our product that benchmarks vary widely. We can't compare a SaaS company selling a $50 price point product with a $100,000 price point product. It's just not the same comparison. That's why those aggregate reports out there, fun to look at, but we have to go a layer deeper with our benchmark data. So in Ray's data, we can benchmark by revenue size, ARR size, ACV, annual contract value. That's like how I like to benchmark your go-to-market motion and other ways to benchmark your data. So I like to use ACV. So let's look at ACV. So if we're offering a smaller price point product, in this case, in Ray's data, we're looking at less than 5K of ARR as a price point, and it changes quite a bit. So in this case, top performers are at 87% retention, so 13% customer churn, whereas before in the total population, we were talking 95%. Now let's go to the other end of the ACV scale. So SaaS companies selling products with greater than 100K ACV. Then the top performers are running 95% customer retention and 5% customer churn. So a big difference based on the price point of our product. So that's why it's so important to look at the financial profile, the characteristics, firmographics of your company, so we pick the right benchmarks. So just a little look into what churn rates should be. And again, the total population running about 90% retention on a median basis, 95% top performers retention. But then again, if we get into the smaller price point products, so less than 5K ARR, the top performers were 87% retention, 13% churn. And then if you have an enterprise type product, higher price point, then we're looking at 95% best in class customer retention and 5% churn. And I see that number actually over and over. If you offer a mid-market enterprise type product, generally for GRR and customer retention, best in class is at 95% annually. And these are annual numbers. If you're running there, you're doing something right. So a little bit about churn today, and then tomorrow I'll cover dollar retention and churn. Thanks.